the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
There's only one way to be independent. There's only one way to be free. something that someone gives to you. It's something that you take. Nobody can give you independence. Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can give you equality or justice or anything. If you're a man, you take it. If you can't take it, you don't deserve it. Nobody can give it to you. I'm for anybody who's for freedom. I'm for anybody who's for justice. I'm for anybody who's for equality. I'm not for anybody who tells me to sit around and wait for mine.
Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Diana, you superstitious?
No.
No?
No.
Not at all. Like
No,
there's nothing that you do repetitively because you thought that it either brought you good luck or brought you bad luck or good or bad mojo. Nothing?
No, I'm
Really?
not superstitious.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I follow things. I don't call it
So if
superstition.
let me ask,
like,
so if you
I
were
wouldn't
walking,
walk under a ladder because they said that's bad luck. I wouldn't walk under the ladder because I wouldn't want to knock the person off the ladder.
no, I got it. So if a black cat walked in front of you, there wouldn't be a thing in the back of your mind that kind of said,
No. I hate cats. So if a cat walked in front of me, I'd be annoyed.
you'd feed it to your dog.
Whatever the color was. Yeah, no, you're superstitious. Friday the 13th. What's
No,
supposed to be a
you know
good
what?
day, a bad day, and it's supposed to be a full moon, and I don't know. And we have the coronavirus, and our president is infected, possibly. I don't know. And his wife, apparently, too.
Wait a minute. Wait. Who told you that Trump was infected? Well, he may be infected with something, but who told?
I said possibly infected is what I said.
Well, why are you saying possibly?
Because he's been interacting with the Brazilian president who is infected and hung out with him over the weekend. And apparently his wife has been hanging out with the president of Australia and he's infected. So they're both possibles right there.
So wait a minute. So here's a fact, guys. So the coronavirus is highly infectious, and it you can have it and you can walk around without any symptoms for between 5 and 6 days. And so imagine the number of people you come in contact with in a 5 or 6 day period. And then, so now, let's say after the 6th day, you develop symptoms. So you go to the doctor or whatever. Well, you can't get tested right now because there are no tests. But let's assume there were tests. You could go and get tested. And now, in those 5 or 6 days, imagine the number of people who you've now passed that on to. This is one of the reasons why they are concerned. Because
well,
they're saying
you
that
can
the number...
get tested.
No.
You get tested first for the flu. That's the first test. And once they rule that out, then they go on to the next test.
No, but Diane, there are no tests.
Yes.
But what I'm saying to you is there are no tests right now. The big problem is we don't have the physical tests.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. So we don't have the tests. So even if so again, let me go say what I was saying to you guys. If you had it, you could literally be walking around for 5 or 6 days not experiencing any symptoms. And then on the 6th day or 7th day or whatever, you experience symptoms. You go to the doctor, assuming there were tests available, and you were tested. And if they said, oh, wow, you've been tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, they have to figure out in that 6 day period, all the people you hugged and kissed and shook hands with, that you were in close contact with, and they have to go. So imagine how many people, literally, if you were standing in line in a grocery store, you were standing in line at the movie theater, you were sitting next to somebody at the movie theater, you were wherever you were, right? You now could have possibly infected all of those people. Now those people are walking around for 5 or 6 days without any symptoms. They're asymptomatic until the 6th or 7th day. And now they start to experience some symptoms, and then they go, but now you got to trace back all the people. That's why exponentially it is growing, because they can't test See, so it'd be one thing if they could test you, and now you get tested and you self-quarantine prior to developing the symptoms, right? So everybody should be able to do that. But we can't because there are no tests. I put a post up, and the post said, and this was by Dr. Drew, like the celebrity doctor. He said, a bad flu season is 80,000 people dead. We've got about 18,000 dead from influenza this year. We have 100 dead from corona. Just trying to put things in perspective. But here's the difference. And see, and this is where people have to be very careful. The coronavirus is much more contagious than the flu and then influenza. So yes, right now you have 100 dead. But if you look at what I'm saying to you, so for instance, in New York, 100 cases, just about 100 cases, they're anticipating by next week to have over 1,000. So that is a growth rate of 10 times the number they have now. So we can say at this moment we have only 100 dead. But the rate at which it's spreading, right? And the fact that we don't have a method of containment yet, all lead down the road to the possibility of this thing getting out of control.
Okay, so what you can't do is throw fear out into the air.
I'm not throwing fear out in the air, Di. I'm giving facts.
Yeah.
I'm giving facts. Listen, if I was throwing fear out in the air, you know what I'd be saying? Run! But I'm not doing that. I'm simply saying, I'm giving you the facts, right? The facts are, you can have it for 5 or 6.
The facts are, with anything, you need to be washing your hands because you pass on disease by touching stuff and touching people and coughing on people. So cover your mouth when you cough. Be sanitary about the stuff you do. When you go to the bathroom, wash your hands. Before you cook, wash your hands. When you come inside, wash your hands. Wash off the doorknobs. Wash off the phone handles. You know, the stuff that people always touch. If you're staying in hotels, wipe down the remote control. Those are the things people always are touching.
But okay, I got that. But Diane, the fact of the matter is, and we've all read reports about people who don't wash their hands, right? People who go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands, the percentages of people who don't wash their hands. So to believe that all of a sudden people are going to start doing something they've not done most of their lives is unreasonable. So they're not going to do it.
I didn't say they were going to start. I'm saying the ones who do it to continue to do it.
No, I got that. But the ones who do it, yes, you should continue to do it. But you should know that you live amongst a bunch of nasty, dirty, filthy, trifling people who don't wash their hands.
I don't know why people thought differently. Right. People have stopped thinking that people have the same values as everybody else. My values, your values are not the same. When it comes to cleanliness, when it comes to raising your kids, when it comes to financial decisions, all of those things, we all think and see things differently.
Which is why I'm saying, so we live amongst them. And so there will be, because you have, I believe, more trifling folk than non, you'll have a lot of people. I don't know if this is a call for me personally.
I would go the opposite. I think there's less trifling folk than there are good folk. But it's the trifling folk who make it bad for those that are good. Alan Patterson says, stop spitting on the ground. What does stop spitting on the ground got to do with anything?
Whoa, that's nasty. Wait a minute, listen, Diane. And
so
I gotta say this. I gotta say
this.
When I was younger, when I was a kid, I'd say 8, 9 years old, right? I used to spit. Like spitting was the thing. And then you used to see how far you could spit. We would hock up these loogies and spit them, and we do all that stuff. And then, I remember one day my grandmother saw me spit. And she went upside the back of my head, man. Pow! And I was like, what'd I do? She said, that is nasty. Right? So so when you see people who spit on the ground, what that means is they don't have good home training. Those are common people.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Those are common people who lack home training, who spit on the ground. And we need to pray for them, and we need to try to guide them, but we need to understand that they exist. But those are the same people. Some of those are the same people, Diane, who don't wash their hands.
So are you saying spitting as a regular spitters, or are you saying something happens and you have to spit on the ground?
Oh no, well, okay. So I'm saying when you walk down the street and you just see people just spit. Now I would say if you had something in your mouth and you had to reject it, you had to get it out of your mouth, then certainly you should do that. But then there are ways to do that too, right? You take a napkin, you put it in a napkin, you do those kinds of things. But to just literally just go spitting on the ground is vile. Which is why in our house we take our shoes off.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I
want to have that
Wait. Is that a religious thing?
No, listen. I'm gonna tell you about it in a second. Let's take this call, and I'm gonna tell you about because we're gonna talk about dirt and filth and triflingness today. Call or go.
Hi, yes, I'm just calling in response to Diane saying, what does spitting on the ground have to do? Because you spit on the ground, people spit on the ground, and you walk in it, not realizing you walking in it, and then you mess around and track it in your house. And that's why my mother used to always say, take your shoes off. Do not walk in the house with your shoes on, because you track that mess through your house, not even realizing it.
Caller, you have good home training.
I'll continue listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, that's good home.
No problem.
That's good home training, Diane.
But you see, I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. But what I do when you come in the house is I have several mats, because I got dogs. So I got several mats before you even get in the house to wipe off their paws and our feet, and once you get inside to wipe your feet off again.
Diane,
before you come in.
But listen, so to what the caller says, so I want you to think about this. And this is when I started taking my shoes off in the house, when I used to work in New York. Because when you walk through the streets of New York and you see all of the dog feces, even though they clean it up, they try, you still see the remnants of it, right? And then when the dogs urinate on the sidewalk, there's no cleaning that up. Then when you have the homeless people urinating at night on the sidewalk, then you see all the garbage juice that spills from the garbage bags that rolls and then creates the stench in the summertime. And all of that you're walking in and walking on. Even though it dries up, you are still tracking that. Then you get on the subway, you get on the bus, you walk back home, and then you walk in your house with all of that.
Oh my God, I'm so grossed out now.
There we go. So
I'm totally grossed out now. Oh man.
Right.
I would have never, and I have carpet in my house, and see, we take our shoes off because I have white carpet.
Diane.
And then when you,
take your shoes off, Diane.
Okay.
All right. Take your shoes off from now on. And for all of you guys who didn't know before, take your shoes off. Take them off.
Wow.
All right, but that doesn't negate.
So now I understand why them uppity folks always have the mud rooms in their houses.
No, they're different. See, some of the uppity folks had the mud rooms because they didn't want you to track mud, right?
But so that's the same concept.
No, different because if it was a rainy day, or for instance, how can I say? So I had a mud room. And in the wintertime when I would take the kids sledding, when we got back home, right, you'd come into the mud room and you would take off all of your, outer garments.
Wait a minute.
You would just leave them there.
Wait a minute. Sledding? So wait a minute. Did your babies have sleds? Or did they slide down the hill on a garbage can top?
No, I slid. Listen. My children were privileged. They had sleds. I had Diane. Not only did I have garbage can tops, we sled it. We used boxes, like cardboard boxes, right? You understand what I'm saying? And hey, listen, and when you didn't have a cardboard box or anything else, you just went down on your stomach.
Wait a minute. How dangerous was that we would slide down hills, not even concerned about the cars coming on the cross street? We just slide out into traffic.
Hey, listen.
On the garbage can top, and nobody ever got hit.
No,
we
nobody.
didn't wear a helmet.
No helmet, no nothing. Hey, Diane, I told Amina.
Good with the world. And look, we didn't have snowsuits on. All we had on was our jeans and our jacket.
And your Chuck Taylors, right? With socks.
Oh man, see that's
and you know when you came in the house, you came in the house when you couldn't feel your toes anymore, right?
Exactly. That was the only time.
That was it. You were like, yo, I gotta go in the house.
No gloves on, just sliding.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good life.
Oh,
Sid Webster said she was raised like me. Wipe your shoes. Yes, it's probably better to take your shoes off, but she doesn't like to walk barefoot in anyone's home. Foot fungus and whatnot all over their house.
Nobody's saying barefoot. You got socks on, Sid.
That's what she says. She says I bring socks when I visit folks. When I visit folks who don't allow shoes in their home.
And now, what I would say is this: for people who don't allow shoes, I get it.
You should have those booties.
That's absolutely right, Diane. You should
flip-flops.
accommodate your guests, right?
Yeah,
Which is what they do in Japan.
I have contractors come in.
Yeah. In Japan they do that. They accommodate their guests. They have those slip-on booties that they have in the hospital. So you put those on over your shoes. So if you don't want them, if you would prefer them take their shoes off, but if they're gonna have their shoes on, just go and get those slip-on booties that they could put on, and they just put them on and they walk through the house with them on, and that's it. Or they can choose to take them off.
Gaetano said, or he used his little brother to slide on.
All right.
Sid Webster said she went to Cameron Field in South Orange. On the hills, sleds, cardboard boxes. Oh yeah, we went to Floods Hill in South Orange too. Well, that was as an adult. As a child, I lived too far to get there. I didn't know about South Orange then. We knew about Hillside.
Yeah, we had. I told Amina about when I used to live on Huntington Terrace, right off of Shepherd Avenue. We used to go over to Shepherd Avenue, go all the way to the top of the hill, and we had. I don't know if you did this, Diane, but we would get the shopping carts from the ShopRite.
No, that's theft.
Right?
I wasn't into that as a kid.
Right? And then we would take them to the top of the hill on Shepherd Avenue. And we would sit, one person would sit in the shopping cart. So we'd have 2 or 3 because we would do races. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody would shove us to get us started down the hill. Now, Diane, there are no brakes. Wait a minute. Hey, Diane, there were no brakes. There were no nothing. And then you would have somebody on Huntington Terrace, right, on that intersection. And then there would be somebody down at the bottom of the hill on Osborne Terrace in Shepherd. And if the light, when we got to the bottom of the hill, there was no light on Huntington Terrace, but there was the light on Osborne Terrace. And if the light wasn't green for us and it was red, then the person's responsibility at the bottom of the hill was to try to hold the traffic up because we might be coming through the intersection. Diane, I'm not making this up.
Look, y'all had your own traffic control.
We did, but Diane, and then the only way to get out of the shopping cart, because you had no brakes, you had to just tip it over and bail out. Now, why none of us ever died? None of us ever had to go to the hospital. I broke my wrist when I was a teenager, but I had no broken bones. I had no anything. But we used to do all that stuff.
Oh man, that's good fun.
Wait, I got one more thing for people. See if they remember doing this. Any of the fellas, the women didn't do this. I'm sure the girls. We used to jump roofs. I don't know if you knew about that, right?
I did that in high school.
Did you?
I did it in Newark. My girlfriend, I don't know how we did this. My girlfriend, Shakira, was still my best friend. We used to jump on top of the roof over on 18th Avenue, across from where McDonald's is now, still there. Across from there used to be a bank and a couple of other buildings right there, like lower buildings. Don't ask me why and how we got into that. But yes,
Yeah.
I
So
do that.
we used to
Dangerous
jump.
and the most stupid thing ever. But yes,
We used to go from Chancellor Avenue all the way down to Lyons Avenue. So we would just jump the garage roofs, right? And we would race. And then one time, one of the neighbors, because if you got kids doing that all the time, what's going to happen? You're going to wind up puncturing the roof, right? Put a hole in the roof.
Yeah.
So what one of the neighbors did, and we didn't know, they put barbed wire up, Diane. So one day I was, and I'll show you, I got the marks on my eyelids. So we're jumping roofs, right? We're jumping, and I'm mid-air, getting ready to go to land on this other roof, and I look and I see the barbed wire, but I can't stop.
you already
I go
did
right
twice.
into the barbed wire, Diane, right? And
Oh
like
my
whole
gosh.
face into the barbed wire, my hands into the barbed wire, and then I just went down into those aluminum garbage cans.
like what do you call it? Oscar the Grouch? You just
Oh,
slid
yeah.
down
That's
into
absolutely
your
right.
home and the top fell on your head.
And then all of my friends, right? You think that they would be compassionate and be concerned about whether I was all right? You know what they did, Diane? They stood there on top of the garage roof, looked down at me, and laughed.
They said, "Look at that dummy."
Yeah. But
Oh man,
those were
what
the
did
good.
your mom say after that?
Listen, Diane, my mother, up until I was maybe about 15 years ago, when I would go to family things, my aunts and uncles and they would all gather and say, Eric, we prayed for you. We prayed hard for you.
That's what they say.
That's what they
Somebody,
say.
that's the song in church. Somebody prayed for me.
They said they prayed hard for me. I was a mischievous kid. I did,
They didn't know what you were going to turn out to be.
Diane, listen, let me tell you one more story. I could literally fill the whole 2 hours up with it. I'll tell you one more. So I had an aunt who lived in Inglewood. And like she had a big house in Inglewood, right? So that was really cool to go to. And my family would gather for family meetings. My dad and his siblings to discuss family matters, right? So and we would get dressed up on that Saturday to go over to my aunt's house. And the cousins would hang out. We'd play chess or checkers or cards, and we do sophisticated kind of stuff. Well, one day and my dad would always say to me, "Son, I don't want you to get yourself dirty." I said, "Okay, Dad." So one day we're in the backyard, and she had a creek that ran through her backyard, and my older cousins were jumping from one side of the creek to the other side. Now the creek had mud and water and everything in there, right? And they were jumping and they were making it. So Eric decides that, and I've got a bow tie on, a white shirt, I've got slacks on, and I've got my dress shoes. I decide that I'm gonna try to make it over this thing, and I slipped and went right into the creek. Waist deep, I'm covered with mud. So now I gotta walk in the house where my father and his siblings are having their family meeting. And I'm just standing there, and mud is just dripping down off of me. And so my father looks at me and he asks my aunt if she had something for me to change into. And and I was expecting him to be really, really upset. But he never yelled. The quieter he spoke, the more I knew I was in trouble, right? So my aunt comes out of the room, and she's got a one-piece pink bunny rabbit suit So that's what I had to put on. Now at that point, we lived on Vassar Avenue. So after we left my aunt's house, we drove home. We had a Volare. Drove home in the backseat of this Volare, Diane. Pull up in front of the house. All my friends are outside, and I got to get out of the back seat with a bunny rabbit suit on.
Oh, God.
And that's why my dad wasn't upset, because he knew.
Priceless.
So they prayed for me.
That's so funny.
They prayed for me. So anyway, guys, the coronavirus. I saw Sydney Barnes put up and said that, it's not as serious. Put on Facebook that it's not as serious as people are making out to be. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to make that claim. I'm going to tell you to read as much information as you can. Know that there's some people who have ulterior motives behind the information that they're giving you. You have out of the White House, they're trying to give you information to keep the president looking good and presidential, right, and smart, and not jeopardize his re-election bid. So that's the information that's come. So you got to look at it through that filter. Then on the Democratic side, because I told you there are two wings of the same dirty bird. So on the Democrat side, those people who are putting out information, they're putting out information primarily to try to damage the president, right? To try to give the impression that the president wasn't on top of things. So none of them are really being honest with you to just give you information because they care about you. They're all trying to manipulate you through propaganda. So it's incumbent upon you to read, to just read. And a lot of places that you can go to read are these third-party blogs and other kinds of things to get information, and you'll be able to piece together what makes sense for you.
Yeah, I would compare information because I'm just looking on right now on the website on MSN. They have a whole section for coronavirus now with all the different articles written by different news medias. And they have everything from families donating food to CT scan information to Trump shrugging off the EU to Pence and a travel clampdown. So there's tons of stuff to research, read, and then compare. For like anything else, any other virus, shaking hands, get a head nod. You don't have to shake hands. It's okay. Not to shake hands, but be polite, of course. Stay out of places where there's a lot of people. Movie theaters. I would not go to movie theaters. I honestly wouldn't. If you don't have to travel, do not travel because he is shutting down travel from European countries.
Yeah.
If you're Americans, of course, they say that you don't have a problem, but other people traveling into the country will have some problems. They had like a 5-hour shutdown in Paris of people trying to get out. So just be mindful and careful when you touch things, doorknobs and handles. If you don't have to touch them, use your elbow or whatever. And if you want to wear gloves, wear gloves. If you want to wear a mask, if that makes you feel safe, then wear a mask. Or the best alternative is stay your butt home. Work from home. If that is an option, work from home. The less interaction with people, the better.
Well, yesterday I couldn't help but go out.
I
know.
You know what?
Don't yell at me.
So
Stop yelling at me. I went out and I had my nose in the crease of my elbow. Right.
Did you have a mask? Why don't you have a mask?
Because I wasn't planning to go. Right. I had to go visit a.
You should have one. Your mask should be next to your coat. Every time you get up to walk out that door, you should have a mask on face.
All right. So I'll do that from now on. But
I'm telling you, don't mess around.
And I'm gonna plug my friend because it's just amazing. So she called me up yesterday. I was I had to go meet with a client, and on the way back home, she called me, and I said, "Oh, where are you?" So she is renting, which I think is ingenious, right? I mean, I'm always down with people who are on their grind and hustling and trying to get ahead. She's got a great job, but you could always use extra. So there's a bar in Irvington called Fox's. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Don't tell any stories, Diane.
That bar school back in the day, y'all. Way back in the day.
So anyway, my friend Andrea, who I've known forever, back in high school, she's a cook there, right? So they have a kitchen, but they weren't using the kitchen. So she said, "Hey, look, I'll rent the kitchen from you Thursday through Saturday, and and I'll cook for people who want food." So, and I know Andrea can cook.
Nice.
So when she called me and told me that she was there,
can make money, yeah.
Yeah. So when she told me
go ahead.
when she told me she was there, I asked Amina. I said, "Look, let's make a Yui because we were trying to figure out what we were gonna have for dinner." And I said, "That's what we're gonna have for dinner." So I had the best porgies. She made porgies for me.
What? Are you kidding me?
Diane, listen, guys, listen.
Were they fried porgies?
Fried pork, Diane.
Oh my gosh.
Diane, listen, my knees are still weak.
What days is she doing them porgies on?
She Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, Diane.
Oh, so I could slide in there.
You could go there today, Diane.
I could go right after work, slide and get my plate and roll out.
You could roll out, Diane, but put
and
a
throw my
mask.
scarf around my face.
Put a mask on. Put a mask on, because there were a lot of people in there. Put a mask on. But
Well,
the porgy.
I just
Oh,
that sounds good.
Diane.
I just had another confrontation with my husband about me being out and me saying, you know, black folks ain't getting this disease. And he went on to tell me, oh my God, that's an ignorant statement and blah, blah, blah. And this person got it and that person. I said, you know what? I think people are so fixated on this that they can't pay attention to, like you said, business opportunities that are about to jump off right now.
Yeah.
I've just posted some stuff on my Facebook page telling people, look, this is the opportunity. If your job sends you home, this is an opportunity to get up on them skills, the middle prep skills, like you just talked about, doing food plans and cooking and babysitting or online tutoring for kids. If you're an educator and you know who them low students are that need that help, and you know you need that help, online tutoring, easy money.
Yeah, but she's killing it. So if you go, tell her. Right, she's got long braids. That's the one who's cooking. And Diane, the shrimp, fresh.
You got them tied up.
Oh my gosh, Diane. Yeah, she has tied up. She's very, very hygienic. She's got to go home. She got to go home training, Diane.
Okay. Oh, she's professional. Okay.
She's not Diane. She's not common.
Okay, she's okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's what I need to know.
All right. So listen. Courtney Wicks put something up on Facebook yesterday, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. She was saying that as they're thinking about closing these schools, and I'm going to paraphrase it if I don't find it, so I'm trying to find it. But my sister Courtney Wicks said, "Look, we got to be concerned because what I tell you, when America has a cold, black people got."
Pneumonia.
Well, yeah, they got pneumonia. So this is what Courtney says. She says, if the public schools close, there needs to be a plan to ensure all children in food insecure homes and homeless children get fed. See?
Well, so that is true. So in New York, the reason why they have not closed the schools down yet is they're going to the program, they're trying to implement the program that they do over the summer for children to be fed. So they are already proactive about that. So they already had a plan. All they're doing is instituting the spot. So for instance, like I told you, my daughter's in Brooklyn. So she has kids that are bused to her from Queens or from Manhattan. So they wouldn't come to her school to get a meal. They would come to then their neighborhood school, where they would normally do for the summer, that would have food, I guess, not deserts, but food locations for kids to go to. New Jersey, on the other hand, I have not heard of such a thing. Yeah. I don't know what's happening in New Jersey.
Well, I tell you, we're backwards. We're like a hillbilly state. You know, nobody can. Diane, listen, we're like a hill.
We up in the mountains.
Diane, the most ignorant politicians I've ever met in my life, which is why, you know, a lot of people called me yesterday. They inboxed me and asked if they could talk to me. So I gave them, you know, my cell number, and they called me, and they were moved, was the words that they used, about my confession yesterday. I felt like I was in a confessional yesterday. But
were they the priest that was going to absolve you from it, or were they calling to talk crap?
No. They said that they understood my perspective, and that they appreciated the fact that I was, you know, working hard to try to make amends. You know.
One more thing.
Yep.
Did they hit the share button while they were listening?
I don't know. I didn't ask them.
Listening?
But if you're listening today and you didn't hit yesterday's share button, hit yesterday's share button twice and then hit today's 3 times. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's 5 total times. I'm sorry. You know, I got another call yesterday from somebody asked me why I have my sunglasses on. They called and said, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, you had your sunglasses on." I said, "No." I said, "I just felt like wearing my sunglasses."
You like a little kid. I want to wear my rubber boots today.
You
I
like
want to
that?
wear
You know that song?
today.
I wear my sunglasses at night so I can get ready. You never heard that song?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Who sung?
That's me. Anyway, so if
So you got to call.
right, so no, but listen, guys, we have to figure that piece out because they're gonna wind up closing the schools.
Yeah.
They're gonna.
And here's the solution. Go use the summer plan that you would normally use to feed children. Put that plan in place for now.
Well, wait, no. But how do you do that, Diane? Because if you close the schools, think about the summer plan. That means you had kids come to a particular location. And like in New York, they're now getting ready to limit it to 250 people gathered. They're talking about using. They're talking about based on.
It could be the same way, Eric, except in staying to get your meal could be bagged and taken away. Same thing. Don't make it complicated. The plan is already there. All you got to do is work the plan.
Listen, they're getting ready
That's
to
the
start
problem with
making people
politicians.
cancel
They
their
can't-
weddings.
They should.
They're gonna make. What are they gonna do about funerals?
Well, funerals will still. Well, you know what? Let me call my person that's in the funeral business. But funerals will still. No, funerals will still go on. I have a funeral on Saturday. Funerals will still go on. It's up to people to decide whether they're coming or not.
No. What they're saying is the government, depending upon what happens in terms of this exponential increase in people who have the virus, they're saying that they will mandate that these weddings be canceled, and so they're gonna have to do the same thing. Now they can't cancel a funeral.
Everything else that's already in place. See, we're thinking like we got to recreate the will. The will is already created. We just got to follow the plan. The plan is if government says it's shut down, then people will be held. Deceased people will be held on ice.
No, why are you gonna hold them on ice?
Postponed.
You just have to limit it. You can limit it to just the family.
Yeah,
Right? That's what I'm saying. Hey, look, put
That's
the
what
person
I'm
in the
saying.
ground. Don't put them on ice. Put them in the ground. Just limit it to the family. You don't need to have 300 people at the funeral, and just get it done. Hello, caller, go.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? Speaking of the thing about the funerals, Eric, does anybody know how long does this disease survive after the death of a person? Like how are they still infected? Because in Italy, listen. In Italy, they're not taking the body.
Oh,
People are sitting with their dead relatives in the house.
well, Italy.
Because morticians will not come for them.
Well,
Because remember, they've been quarantined. So nobody's still going to pick up these bodies.
so calm down, Erica. Calm down. They will implement the same procedure that was implemented when AIDS and HIV started. It has not changed. It's just a different disease. These policies are already in place. They're already in place.
Well, AIDS was different, Diane.
AIDS is different.
AIDS was different.
Once they learn that once you die from AIDS, or once you're dead, it's it. Like the disease is done.
Right, but it was also not just that, Farrakhan, but it was
I'm
how.
talking about the hysteria of when it started and what they said they would do with the bodies. The same thing will be done. That's it. Why are y'all trying? You guys are creating fear that should not be. Don't worry about what they're doing. People in their professional industries should know what the hell to do. And if they don't know what the hell to do, then now we got a problem.
Well, we don't know. Our president don't know what to do.
He ain't a professional. He's a professional.
He's the highest professional in this country. He's got the tag of first everything. So if there becomes a cure, a vaccine, he's the first to get it.
All right, hey guys. So what has
his wife
just
and his kids and so forth. So I got you, but people ain't trained like that. As a barber, I can say people ain't trained like that. I know people aren't in barbershops doing what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so go back. So let's take your profession, for instance, Farrakhan. Are you doing what you were taught to do, or you're doing by instinct?
Well, honestly, I have to do it by instinct because to certain degrees, I can't even say what we're taught to do. I mean, we're always taught basic sanitation and cleaning and wiping things down. But for instance, with the tools that we use, the disinfect that we had were already in effect before the coronavirus, right? We've been using the same sprays and the same things to clean our blades from the gate. I don't know if they're updated for the coronavirus, in all honesty. Right? So then after I do my regular sanitation, I got to do what I'm just assuming is a little extra. So I'm bleaching everything.
So you
And so
right. So you do have the specialty and the professionalism of the basic of what you should be doing, and now you're doing extra because you got common sense. So we can only assume and think.
But I'm part-time. I got retarded common sense. There's some people that just ain't got none, period.
Right. So because you're a professional in your trade, then I know you're not on social media, but you should be networking with your other people to send out information to let them know, look, because of what we're dealing with, X, Y, and Z, you should take the extra step to do these things. To spread it amongst the people in your industry. That's how the word gets out. I've done it.
Oh, no, I'm just telling their clients, come to me.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you're going to send the other people to the other insurance agents, or you going to say, listen, if your insurance agent ain't doing right, come see me.
So
That's all. I'm doing it right.
So what I have done is I've sent out emails to my clients that come from my insurance association about advising my clients on being prepared for not being able to work in the office, being prepared to work mobilely, you know, to safeguard their businesses. So I have done something in that effect as well. So that's what I'm saying. If everybody in that industry, they have high standards on how they handle bodies here in New Jersey.
Right. But again, it's whether or not people are going to be scared to deal with it.
Right.
That's, you know, the biggest problem right now is that who's going to want to deal with infected people? Right?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the scary part of it, right? Like, you know, you don't want to.
Right. Well,
You just don't want to.
You got healthcare workers that have to deal with people that come in with all types of stuff. Infectious disease departments have been implemented in every hospital. So they have policies in place to work for things when things like this happen. We on the outside know everything that's happening, but the policies are in place.
You're saying that, Diane? I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I'm not, you can say where. The pharmacy I went to last night, none of the employees had masks or gloves on. That is the pharmacy.
Wow.
People are coming there sick. Okay, they're coming there to pick up medicine for illnesses. We don't know what illnesses and how random they might be feeling, right? But nobody working behind the counters had anything protective on.
Correct.
So if they get something from a customer, they're passing it to the next customer.
So think about it. Whenever the flu season happens, which is every year like clockwork, those same pharmacy workers are in there doing the same type of procedures that they do.
Listen, I'm with Farrakhan now.
Hold on. What does that mean, Diane? Because, when you take the coronavirus dollar bill from somebody, you understand? And then you put that in the register with the rest of the bills, and then when you give change out, bada bing, bada bang. Now some other people got it.
Listen.
And I'm carrying that home. I'm carrying the coronavirus dollar bill home with me.
Hey, guys.
So this
Get in my car with me.
So this is my thing, and I'll be done with it. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space.
No, but faith and common sense can. But wait a minute. But faith and common sense can. So listen. Look, I'm putting this up on the board. This is up on the board. It says Essex County postponed events. The annual State of the County Address is being postponed, which was supposed to be on March 23rd. The Census Day of Essex County Turtleback Zoo on Saturday, March 20th.
All of those gatherings with groups of people have been postponed.
Right. I'm just letting. Diane, I'm just putting it up.
But if you have concerns,
Diane, I'm just trying to put it up here so people are aware of it, so they can make a note.
People should already know that these things are canceled, and if they don't, they are stupid. But people who have concerns should contact their local health department, which is their board of health in their town, whether you live in Cranford or whether you live in Westfield, whether you live in Newark or Elizabeth or wherever. Your public health educator, advisor, director will have information on what you should be doing, because it starts locally. It doesn't start federally, it starts locally. They are the ones who disseminate information and decide on how it's going to be tackled in that particular town. But again, you shouldn't be going to these events right now. They should be postponed. Birthday parties, all that, cancel it. It should not happen. But that's up to other people. You go out there if you want to.
I'm gonna sit back and listen, guys.
Thanks for the call.
I'm laughing, but yo, this is like a really serious.
Oh, it's
you know,
very.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. You're laughing because it's like it feels hopeless. You know what I mean? Like it feels like, well, damn, what the hell do you do? You can't go outside, like you said. You can't go to your wedding. You know, spend $20,000 to plan a wedding. Somebody will tell you got to cancel it.
Well, you
know what I mean?
Don't mean you're losing your money. It's fine. Look, you'll be fine. We'll get past this like we got past. What was the list of stuff? Let me go to the list so we could talk about that list before you hang up, Farrakhan. Wait a minute, I got it here.
Oh, the list
we got. Yes. So last night we got a list from our hypochondriac Kevin Jenkins, and he sends out. Oh my gosh, can I not find it? Oh, here it is. Every election year, there's a disease. 2004, we had SARS. 2008, we had avian. 2010, we had swine flu. 2012 was MRSA. 2014 was Ebola. 2016 was Zika. 2018 was Ebola. Again, in 2020, we got the corona. Like, come on now. We're going to get past this. Like everything else. There's no coincidence, they say, but it is what it is. And many people think that it's a manufactured disease, like many stuff.
It is. Let's be clear about that. There's no question to that. There's no question to it having been a manufactured disease. They know where the disease originated from. Mm-hmm. They don't have any questions about that. It is a man-made disease. It's an experiment. Now the question is whether or not the experiment was to target certain people and certain population groups. If you know me, then you would know how I feel about that. I'm positive. But there's no accident. All these little viruses, we've been on this planet for how many years? And these viruses just keep popping up? No. These viruses ain't popping up.
Wait. I have no evidence that it's a man-made disease. They're talking about where it may have come from, that it may have come from the consumption of bats or some other kinds of things. So I don't have any evidence of that. But what I can say to you regarding this planet, let us be clear that there are viruses and there are diseases and there are other things that are always mutating, right? Trying to survive. And our body adjusts and adapts. That's evolution. Right? And we've had to come up with medications and things like that we take in order to fend off these things that are trying to survive. But we live on a hostile planet. This is a very hostile planet. You know, and without the medicines and other kinds of things, we'd be dead. So I mean, think about it. Think about all the diseases that we were able to cure over time that were wiping us out before modern technology. You know, so you know, I don't necessarily subscribe.
That's probably the greatest point right there. Think about all the diseases we cured before modern technology, and now we can't cure any.
No, but what I'm saying to you is this, Farrakhan. I'm saying just as we're evolving, right? Just I give you an example. This is why they tell you when they prescribe an antibiotic to you, they say you have to complete your cycle of the antibiotic, because if you don't, the thing that it was trying to kill will mutate, right? And will adapt. And so you have to kill it off. So you have to finish your cycle of antibiotics. Otherwise, it might turn into a super bug or whatever they call it. So those things are evolving just like we evolve.
So is that why it's so hard to kill black people off?
What'd you say, Diane?
Because we have evolved. I'm being serious. I mean, they started with slavery. Then you go into Jim Crow. Then you go into post Jim Crow. I mean, all these different things of evolution of trying to kill off a race.
No. Let's be clear. They haven't been trying to kill black people off.
What they doing then?
They're trying to keep us to be the commodity to their wealth and power.
Isn't that the same thing by killing us off and
listen,
making us
read the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. He said, no, you don't want to kill them because they're valuable. You understand? So we don't want to kill them. We just want to scare them. We want to subjugate them. We want to enslave them. They're not trying to kill us. Let's be clear. They're not trying to kill us.
Pause on that one, brother. Pause on that one, okay? They're trying to kill us. But in the meantime, they got to use it for what they need to use it for.
No,
okay?
no,
We do too. Right?
no.
There's some soldiers I kept around for a purpose, but at the same time, like, I'm gonna get rid of them when I don't need them no more.
No. I disagree with you. I don't think the goal was ever to kill us off. I think the goal was to subjugate us into.
So you don't believe in the concept that that's what they're doing with eugenics, right? Genetic survival. So you don't believe that this has always been a war against genetic survival.
No. I think that I gave you my.
I respect it.
Yeah, I gave you my.
I respect yours,
yeah.
but I would disagree with that one. If you think that this is not the whole reason they call it race, because this is a war to something. This is a race to something. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose.
No.
You can't show me evidence of people's actions, of the world's actions, different.
No.
This is a battle, brother.
No.
And that's why we're losing. That's why black folks is losing, because we don't realize it's a battle.
No. Right, well,
When we start fighting it like it's a battle, we might start winning.
We'll agree to disagree on this one. We'll agree to disagree on this one.
I respect that. But just remember what I said. When we realize that this is a battle, and we start fighting it as a battle, we'll start to win.
Oh no, I think you're talking about two different things now. So sure, I think that you have that there is a battle, right? I think that folks are trying to win, and there'll be winners and losers. But what I said in regard to the statement that Diane was referring to in terms of why are we surviving, right? How have we outlasted, what it is that they've done? And I said, because they're not trying to kill us. What they're trying to do is subjugate us. Now, I'm not saying that they couldn't try to kill us, but I'm saying that that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to subjugate us. They're trying to keep us enslaved. Like I said, 1619, that's my marker, right? They brought us here not to kill us. They brought us here to be the commodity to their wealth and to their power. And everything that they've done here has been to maintain that. Everything from 1619 to now has not been to kill us. It has been to subjugate us, to enslave us. So
I respect it. We don't disagree on that one, but okay. I'll be there with it.
All right.
But I'll say this, though. If you look at Africa, they've surely been trying to kill off that continent.
Well, look, like I said,
and if you want to say that all the germs and the Ebolas and the goofy stuff that ends up over there is just the germs over there want to mutate for survival instead of experiment for their survival.
Look, I'm not disputing.
That would be naive.
Right. But so now we're moving into some other realm. I'm not disputing that there aren't some people, just like the Germans attempted to annihilate the Jews, right? That's what they wanted to do. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm answering Diane's very specific question about foundational Black Americans who are here and how we were able to survive it. Through she listed Jim Crow and all of those things. And I said they weren't trying to kill us. They were trying to keep us keep us as the commodity to their wealth and their power. Now, we could have some global conversation about some other things that they're doing on some other continents. I was speaking very specifically and answering Diane's question about us being here from 1619 to now. In these 400 years, they have not been trying to kill us. They haven't been doing that. They've been
what
using.
I said, I'm not trying to go back and forth. But if you recall, what I said was that when they didn't need us anymore. So guess what? As automation and as society changes, they don't need us anymore.
Well, but then that's a
So now it's guerrilla warfare. Get it? See, they're not enslaving us anymore because they don't need us for that anymore.
Yeah, I can't get into that. I can't get into that conspiracy theory.
I got you.
Look, I can't get into that conspiracy theory.
I think we're being too nice.
Right, but I can't get into that conspiracy theory. I have to look factually, right? And so factually, in answering Diane's question, about why we're still here. That was her question. Why are we still here? We're still here because they were not trying to kill us. That's why we're here. All they wanted to do is keep us as the commodity to their wealth and power. That's it. That was the answer, simple answer to their question. Now, there are other things that we could talk about, but I was answering her very, very specific and narrow question.
Okay, I got you.
All right.
So now I'm gonna sit back and listen.
All right. So what else is on the docket, Diane? Did you disconnect from me? Diane may have disconnected. So guys, protect yourselves. Take it seriously. No fear mongering. Just make sure you're reading independent information about it. And talk to your children. I mean, one of the other things that I'll say is this. We don't spend enough time, having conversations with our children. We kind of let the streets or other people socialize them and socially engineer them. This is a time where it's really, really important to sit and have these kinds of conversations with your kids, because as more of this stuff comes out, and more information and more misinformation is out there, you got to understand your kids are picking up all kinds of misinformation and they're acting based on that. And so here's an opportunity for you to step up and for you to lead. Now, I don't know when, and I still have, because I get all the robocalls from Newark and the other towns. I've not gotten any kind of robocall in terms of what's going on. I do know, I did see the press conference in New York yesterday with Mayor de Blasio, and that was a bit scary. Because what they were talking about in that press conference yesterday was the fact that they anticipate that, well, let me back up for a second, because this was really interesting. So what they were saying is that if people were not being infected in waves, if everybody got infected and everybody kind of bum rushed to hospitals, then the current medical infrastructure wouldn't be able to handle it. Which implied to me that what they're trying to do is create waves of this to be able to manage them coming in. And then what Mayor de Blasio said was that they anticipate using parking lots and other outdoor facilities almost as makeshift MASH units to be able to deal with this. This is what he said in the press conference yesterday. And so I had to rewind it because I was like, wait a minute. And what he believes is that in New York, given the exponential growth of this thing, he envisions, and they're preparing for it, to have the hospitals be overrun and bulging at the seams and having overspill outside in tents, makeshift units in parking lots in New York City. Now, he held that press conference and he said that. So, I kind of like Bill de Blasio. So, I'm going to take him at his word that he's got some information that led him to stand in front of those cameras and say that. So I'm going to say again, take it very, very seriously, guys. Now, I posted something else on my page yesterday, and I thought about this because Farrakhan called in and said that black people should get their guns. Well, the headline was that in New Jersey, the gun permits have gone up in Jewish communities. And let's see. I'm going to try to find it. Is this it? Now, I don't know if I can find it, but it says that the gun permits have gone up for Jews in New Jersey because they feel the need to protect themselves from all of the anti-Semitism. And they cited Lakewood, where they had gone into that community, and they, according to folks there, they were harassing people and trying to buy their homes. And then in Jersey City, they cited that and the shooting and and killing that occurred there in Jersey City as signs of anti-Semitism in New Jersey. And they said, what I got out of it, listening to the headline news, is that they said never again. They liken that to the Holocaust. And they said we need to arm ourselves. And then the other thing that they're doing, which I thought was very interesting, is they're now holding martial arts classes, teaching themselves self-defense. And so I thought about, as I was listening to it, I could not help but think about Farrakhan's call yesterday about, us going to get guns. And, and I joked about it. But you do have other groups of people who are looking at the climate and they're preparing for something. All of them are preparing for something, except us. So whether they're preparing in terms of being able to get these emerging jobs that will be a part of this wave of artificial intelligence, whether they're preparing in terms of munitions and weaponry, whether they're preparing in terms of self-defense or amassing wealth, they're all preparing for something. And so I get back to the comment that I made a couple weeks ago, where we were asking the question whether or not we're existing or whether we're surviving. See, because we're not preparing for anything. We're not preparing for anything. We're not prepared for this. We have done absolutely nothing as a people to prepare for anything. And so, yeah, it is a very scary thing to look and watch. And so now, and again, poor people, but black people in particular, right? Got to figure out how to feed the babies when the schools close down. Got to figure out how to give people, some temporary health care to go get themselves checked out at doctors, when these tests come in. You got to figure out how to do some other how to give them some sort of subsidy because they don't have sick leave. But we didn't do anything to prepare for it. Nothing to prepare for it. And this is why I'm saying I don't know that we're surviving. I think that we're just existing. We're just kind of floating along like dead wood on a river, right? So we have no mind of our own in terms of where we're going to be navigated. It is the current that kind of just takes us where it takes us. And then we hope for the best. But make no mistake, there are going to be people from this. And what did I say? 18,000 people dead so far, whatever the number was. It's going to be much more than that. All of, and I believe those reports that I'm reading. And I'm doing what I'm asking you guys to do, which is, trust but verify. That's what Ronald Reagan said, right? Trust but verify. So I'm reading the news and then I'm verifying the information. And I think it's going to be worse. And then if you subscribe to the theory that when America has a cold, black people have pneumonia, well, if it's worse, if it's bad for America, it's going to be triple that for black people. And we're not prepared. We have a bunch of buffoons as black electeds. We have a bunch of ear hustlers in the churches. None of them are prepared. That's not why they're there. They're not there to serve you. They're there to serve themselves. And we will be the casualty of our mistakes. Listen, I'm going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, and I may try to look in the thread and see what folks have to say. We'll be right back.
Do you have loss prevention or safety concerns? Black Belt Security and Investigations has armed and unarmed guards that can protect what is important to you. For security you can count on, visit www.bbsillc.com or call 1-800-493-1859 today.
It's time to turn up the heat in your house or apartment. So here are some fire safety tips from Diane L. Murray Insurance Agency to keep you warm and safe this winter. Don't overload your electrical outlets. Keep flammable items away from fireplaces and space heaters. And put a fresh battery in your smoke detector. Turn to Diane L. Murray Insurance Agency for your home and renter's insurance or bundle it with your auto insurance and save. Call 908-686-4609 or visit dlminsurance.com today.
BBSI. BBSILLC.com.
Okay, I'm back. Here we go. So listen, here's a headline from CNN. It says, confusion over the availability and criteria for coronavirus testing is leaving sick people wondering if they're infected. It said a group of first responders in Washington State, a scientist in California, a woman at an assisted living facility in Florida, all worried because they believe they might have novel coronavirus, but say they can't get tested. They and many others tell CNN they're suffering symptoms associated with what's officially known as COVID-19 and are worried that they may have come into contact with someone who has the virus. They are angry and frustrated after trying to get tested, only to be turned away. Their stories came into CNN's tip line after an event with Vice President Mike Pence on Thursday, when he told CNN's morning show New Day that anyone with a doctor's order could get tested. There's no barrier, Pence said. Make no mistake about it. We're making steady progress. Anxiety and confusion over the availability and criteria for testing were dominant themes Thursday as the nation continued to grapple with the pandemic.
So basically what Pence just did is he threw it off and said, oh, everybody can get tested. There's no hindrance. Nobody should be banned. However, with his ignorance, he did that. And then on the local level, hospitals are saying they know doggone well that's not possible because we don't have the testing. So basically all he did was shift the responsibility to the local hospitals and now shift the anger of the people to the hospitals because people are going to the hospital saying, he said we could do this. He said we could do this. And the hospitals are like, we ain't had no contact with him. How does he know what we have available here?
Let me read a little bit more of this. It says, aside from critically ill patients who are hospitalized, the physician said the Massachusetts Department of Public Health is only approving tests for people who have been exposed to someone who has already tested positive or who has traveled to one of the 5 heavily impacted countries outside of the U.S. In the past 14 days. It's insanity, said the physician who spoke on the condition of anonymity. There are not even tests on hand to use if a patient was approved for testing, the doctor said. So even if you now go through the criteria is if you were in one of these hot spots in the last 14 days, that you should be able to be tested. So this doctor's saying Well, okay, so the people go through, they jump through all those hoops, but guess what? When they get to the end and they come here, we don't have any tests to test them anyway. It says even if the patients were around and exposed to someone coughing, sick, sneezing, I cannot give them a coronavirus test, the doctor said. We are being crippled by our Department of Public Health and the CDC. Call it go.
The criteria is wealth. The criteria is money. And let's be very clear about that. Because wealthy millionaire NBA players are having no problem getting tested. Millionaire actors are having no problem getting tested, whether it's in a different country or not. So it's not all that criteria and protocols about age is acceptable due to other conditions. It doesn't affect wealthy people, because wealthy people are getting a test with no problem.
So now check this out. Here's a statistic which is frightening, right? Considering, see, and this is the thing, and you know what? I don't disagree with you, Farrakhan. I don't disagree, but this is why I believe that there has to be a campaign for poor people. There has to be a poor people's campaign because poor people are losing.
Sure did. But you know, right. Like when I just cut, I'm only bringing it up because somebody slipped up and said it yesterday on CNN. One of the doctors.
No, I don't disagree with you.
Somebody posed the question, and they was like, "Wait," because they caught themselves. They were like, "Yeah, I wonder how that's happening." One of the doctors.
But we understand,
said,
right? But we understand access, right? Money and access. So there has to be a poor people's campaign. So, but here's a statistic. It says, as of Wednesday, only 11,079 specimens had been tested in the entire United States. Compared to more than, let me finish this statistic. It says that as of Wednesday, only 11,079 specimens have been tested in the United States, paling in comparison to more than 230,000 people tested in South Korea.
I saw the same statistics and the same doctors were discussing those statistics, and they were saying that that 11,079 isn't even people. That's the specimens. So I don't know how many multiple specimens they may take from one person before they say that, yes, they are absolutely definitively positive. But they were actually saying that, look, just because they're saying 11,000 specimens, that's not 11,000 individuals. So it's actually even less than that.
So this is what
they have multiple levels in order to get to their decision of whether or not someone has it. It's not like a one test, boom, bam, and you know.
Right. So this is what I was saying earlier. So it says a big jump in testing is needed to get through the crisis, experts say. Infectious disease experts say more testing is critical to prevent the spread of the disease. Remember, I told you could be carrying it for between 5 and 6 days, right? Somewhere around there, and not show any symptoms, be asymptomatic, but come in contact with hundreds of people. It says the doctor says an organization of 51 hospitals and about 1,000 clinics described testing capacity in the United States as highly deficient. We're still not at levels where we need to be. This has been really slow to get started, he says. And then he goes on, there's more. I'm going to put this. Testing is so critically important because it helps us as clinicians to figure out the extent of the spread. So what they're saying is they don't even know. They have no idea. So they're putting all these protocols in place, but because they don't have any testing, all of it is precautionary, and it's all based on models, right? It's based on models in terms of you could have it for 6 days before you could probably, and they got whatever this data is, that says that the average person comes in contact with X number of people over a 6-day period. So if X percentage of people, based on the number of people that they see and how it's growing exponentially, acquire it, this thing could literally multiply at a rate of, in multiples of hundreds or thousands or
Absolutely.
tens of thousands, and they don't know because they can't test. And that's what I'm saying. So,
Do you know how many worldwide it is so far, like confirmed cases?
how many total confirmed cases?
Yeah.
No, but I guess I can. If I have my Google down here,
Because I'm curious to see how many. This is like a 2-month thing, right? It's been going on for about 2 months or so, right? So I'm just curious what's the extent of it so far in what is basically like a 2-month period to give us some kind of idea of what's going to happen here in this country if this government doesn't get up to par with it. You don't really hear that. You hear all this. It's all my problem. I'm having. I don't know if you noticed it yesterday, but the news was way too political.
Yes, well, that's what I said earlier on in the
political
show.
yesterday.
You can't listen to the news. See, so that you can't listen to. Look, I don't know what news you listen to, but understand everything: NBC, ABC, CBS, CNBC, CNN. All of those people, their number one priority is to get rid of Donald Trump. That's
Yes,
it.
and that was all it was about.
That's it.
It was like how bad he is.
That's
Like,
right.
are you serious? Are we going to talk about Donald Trump all day? Are we going to try? If Donald Trump is who you say he is, then forget about him, and we still have to move forward. How do we move forward without a Donald Trump?
Right.
How
And
does
then,
that
and then on
happen?
Fox
that
News,
question was never answered.
and then on Fox News, their whole job is to protect Donald Trump at any cost. And I tell you, when I was watching Fox News this morning, Farrakhan, and they were making all these excuses for him with regard to all of the lies that he's told. Saying that, you could go to work, everything from, you can go to work and this is going to be over soon. This is no big deal. No, I'm not going to get tested. I'm still going to go do the things I normally do. And people should just kind of go on with their lives because everything's going to be handled. We're on top of it all. All of that is now lie. Right? And Fox News is still caping for him. And this is the same news organization who, when Obama was in office and wore a tan suit, they made that a global crisis. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like literally, they made him wearing a tan suit a global crisis. But this thing, they say there's no big deal. That Donald Trump, because he had the ban, he saved X number of lives, and we need to be focused on that. And then they say, and don't politicize it. They say the Democrats, and I agree, the Democrats are politicizing it. But the Republicans would be politicizing it too if a Democrat was president. Right? So we know that. And so, like I said, you hear the information, but you have to go verify it. Right? And there are other sources that you can go. Go look at 4, 5, 6 other sources, right? Go listen to a little bit of Fox, go listen to a little MSNBC, then listen to a little CNN, then go on NPR, then go on Democracy Now! I'll send you the list of the ones that I go through. And then I parse through it, and then I find the truth.
That's it. You got to listen to multiple sources in order to get parts from everything, and then you can say, okay, now you see a clearer picture. And that's the only real way we're going to get it, because you're not going to get it straight from any one source. You got to find it, like you said, from 3, 4, 5 sources. And then eventually you can say, it's like anything. You can say all of these are in agreement here, but here's where it's all whacked out. Yeah. And then that's where what you take and what you don't take.
So,
I'm going to sit back and listen.
Yeah, I don't know if Diane is still on the phone, but Diane, you said that your daughter's school was closed?
Yeah, my daughter's school, she's closing her school. Some of the Catholic schools are also closing in New York City, but she's closing. But they're already prepared to send home homework packets for the kids to work with, to be able to complete. She sent home, I believe she said 3 weeks worth of work. And they will be graded when they come back into school. And she has kindergarten and first grade kids.
Wow. Now, is this an affluent community school, or is it?
She's in a charter school, so her kids come from all over the community. They do a lottery system, as they do here in New Jersey for charter schools. So the kids can come from various different areas, but they are predominantly black and brown babies.
Mm. Okay. All right. Yeah, I spoke to my kids last night, and my daughter, one of them works for Amazon, and Amazon wants their employees. I'm not sure how they're handling the ones who work in the warehouses and those kinds of things. But she works in an office, and so she's working remotely. I think until April, they said, mid-April, late April. Then my daughter is in pre-med at Temple, and they're doing all online classes now.
Yeah, another friend of mine, her daughter, Spelman College is closing on the 21st. All of the kids have to be off campus and out of the dorm. So parents are either scrambling to bring their kids home or scrambling to find housing for them to stay down there because they were on spring break last week. So they just extended the spring break to next week to the 21st so everybody can clear out the dorms and so they could do a deep cleaning. So I'm assuming if Spelman is closing, I'm assuming across the walkway, Morehouse is going to do the same as well.
No.
And King University is also closed. They're all online now. Everybody's doing online. I think some of the concern for some students are they're supposed to be graduating in May, so they're concerned that maybe the graduations too may be canceled for right now. So they're trying to figure all of that out as well.
Call it go.
Hey, the other day when you said you were going to be sitting on a panel of other people doing blogs and stuff, I wanted to call you. Could you explain that again?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I got the it caught me off guard. I was asked to sit on a.
Well, anyway, that's the reason I was calling. When you were talking about everything was political and things of that nature. When you sit on that panel, you guys have to really talk about the fairness doctrine and how when Reagan came in office, he got rid of the fairness doctrine, which was when someone got on a news channel, they had to give an opposite view of whatever thing that they were debating on these TV shows, which allowed for a Fox News to brainwash people on MSNBC to promote their agenda without the opposite view on it.
You know what? I did talk. I talked about that, Mike. Probably about a year ago. I talked about that, and him doing that allowed Fox News to gain the momentum that it gained as a result of him, not having you have that balanced view on the show.
And the reason I bring that up today is with all of this misinformation and conspiracy theories and all of this confusion around something that we all need to address this thing together. If we don't address it together and we let it be more important that corporations can profit off of this illness, it's going to just be profitable to make us more sicker. You know what I mean? And, like Farrakhan was saying, that the athletes and important people are having no problem getting the test. But when it comes to the average Joe, I'm talking about middle class and people with nice piece of change. They can't get the check that they need to find out if they're affected or not. So we at this point, and the fact that they can promote the president's disastrous response to this as something that he even remotely close to something that needs to be done should be criminal on any channel. I mean, let alone Fox News, any channel. If they're not saying that this man's responsible because the coronavirus crossed the front door, and that means that all of this mighty weaponry that we spend our money on is no avail because a virus can get across and can get right to the president. If I start with a conspiracy theory on that, how the man stood shoulder to shoulder with the president, and this last week people were at a convention and somebody was diagnosed with it. This is more dangerous than this president is more dangerous to us when it comes to protecting us, the security was full. And he and anybody else who defend him should be ashamed of themselves. But yeah, keep us updated on that, because I want to hear the blog when you go on this other show, and I definitely want you guys to discuss that.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks.
So,
and I'm
have a good one.
You too. And I tell you, Diane, I am so horrible at this. I think I shared it one time after the guys told me, and I need to get an assistant.
Oh my God!
I need an assistant too, because
terrible.
I don't have the guy's phone number. I did not put the date in my calendar. I didn't do any of that. So
Who are you? Who are you? How do you not do these things? That's all right.
Because I think about doing them. I think about doing them, Diane, and then
Hey, just don't do it. I know.
then something else comes up. My phone rings. My but I'm gonna find it now, and I'm gonna repost it. Because if I don't do it, more stuff gets in my feed and I don't get it done. But yeah, there's the whole conversation is going to be on independent media and the importance of it. And the importance of it is this, that, and these guys, they put up GoFundMe pages like we were doing before. And, and they're able to subsidize the cost of, building and doing everything that they do through their listenership. We tried that. We were semi-successful, but not as successful, as I had hoped to be, and so we're self-funded now, right? But, we're committed to being here for you guys and continuing to give the information, because I'm telling you, you can't trust them. They're all bought and paid for, all of them. All of them, even the local ones, right? You talk about NJ.com, Patch, Tap Into, all of them. Yeah. All of them literally are tied in to the establishment, and they rely on getting money, contracts, all kinds of stuff, and they put articles out there to try to drive a narrative that's favorable to whoever's putting the most money in their pocket.
That's right.
Am I lying, Diane?
You have to have independent thinking and independent media.
So I'm gonna be on there, and you know what, Diane? I'm gonna have my hat on.
Oh Lord! And your hoodie. Can you at least put on a tie and a shirt, please?
I can't fight in a tie and a shirt.
You can't what?
Fight. You heard me.
Yes, you can. Martin Luther King fought with a tie and a shirt on. Malcolm X fought with a tie and a shirt on. It could be done.
No, you could do it, but you can't be. I can stick and move more with the.
Then get you a polo shirt. Maybe that's your style. Polo shirts. You just pop it on and you good.
Oh no! Well,
on with some khakis.
Now that the weather's
lifestyle.
Well, now that the weather is breaking, I have the short sleeve tees and the long sleeve tees of the ADO shirt. So I could discard my hoodie for the time being, and I could put on a long sleeve tee until the weather is really nice enough to put on a short sleeve tee. So
but you see how I tried to make you conform. What is that about? What is it about the professional look that people seem to respond better to than if you're selling the same product in a hoodie and a baseball cap?
Oh, so wait a minute. So now I'll give a little bit. And like I said, I'm not big on self-promotion, but so now that my business, which I'll unveil at some point to you guys. Some of you already know, but you know what it is, Diane. But I'll unveil it to people in due time. But going and meeting with my clients, like I go like this for the most part, right? But now I started going with a bow tie on and a chef's coat, right? A bow tie, a white shirt, and a white chef's coat. Diane. It's a huge difference. Like when I walked into the room, they literally.
Yeah, they respect you. There's respect that comes with the uniform. Whatever your uniform is for your industry, there is respect that comes with that. I can't walk into a sales call with my sneakers and a hoodie on. But if I go on with a business suit on or even business casual, the respect level is way different.
I want them to respect me for what's up here.
Right. That sounds wonderful. But until we know what's up here, and I'm sure you're pointing to your brain, what we see first is what you put in front of us. So first impressions matter. My My mom always said that you never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. So you should always put your best foot forward. My mom was an executive for many years, and she always talked about, and my grandmother was very pristine and on top of, being well-groomed and well-kept and stuff like that. And she would even say that you don't have to have a lot of money to look clean and presentable and to put your best foot forward. And you should always strive to be, to dress better than where you're at, but where you're trying to go.
Well, I did wear, I was wearing ties. I think I found the thing. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be, I think it's the 23rd. What day is the 23rd?
Of this month, it is going to be on Monday.
No, I think this is gonna be on a
Sunday.
No, I think it's gonna be on a weekend, but it's at a bar. It's at like a bar or something.
Don't give half information. Pull it up and then give us the full details.
So,
sir.
So I think.
And then I'm going to tell you, once you pull it up this weekend, I'm going to ask you to do a banner so you can self-promote on a regular for yourself. Because I'm like you. I don't do a lot of self-promotion. I don't know. I do it, but I find it very hard to promote myself for whatever reason. I don't understand why sometimes. So I can kind of understand where you're at. I'm always pushing other people's businesses and other people's ideas and stuff like that to get them out there. Right. But I don't do enough for myself. So this is my month of my year of pushing myself out there. So I advise you to do the same.
Well, I'm trying to find it now. It's NJRR. So you guys can go subscribe to their Facebook page. And here it is. Wait a minute. A panel independent. Oh, Diane, this is horrible.
Alan Patterson says when he's not meeting with clients, he dresses casually. But if he's going for a meeting or conducting a presentation, Brook Brothers is all the way. All right now, Alan Patterson, with them hard bottom shoes on, looking all classy.
I can't
totally understand.
Yeah, they're doing a horrible job at promoting this thing themselves. So I gotta find out. I'll find out, guys, when it is.
They're not doing a horrible job. Keep moving. Anywho, so you'll come back with that later. So I don't know about everybody else, but I am coronavirus out. I swear, I don't want to hear about. I think just talking about it makes my eyes water. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, am I coming down with something? But I'm not. I just for the last.
Oh,
thing,
here it is. I got it, Diane. I got it. All right. So, and I'm gonna post it on a thing. So it is on March 18th. What day is that? What day is
March 18th is a Wednesday.
Okay.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So next Wednesday, guys, March 18th, I will be a host in a panel discussion on independent media, right? And the event, I will post on the thing exactly where the event will be located.
Okay, cool.
Okay, but it's going to be on March 18th, and it's going to be at like a little coffee house or something, not a bar, a coffee house.
Look at you, see this.
I know. But listen,
I was just looking at an article, and the article says use your phone to call somebody, not just to read coronavirus news. I thought that was funny.
Wait a minute, did Alan Patterson say he wears Brooks Brothers suits?
Absolutely.
All right, so
with them hard bottom shoes, all shined up and everything.
But now here's always been my issue.
Oh Lord, you always got some concern.
I got an issue. So whenever I walked into a law firm, right, and they have those big, heavy, thick doors, right, and that real thick carpet, you know the carpet I'm talking about, Diane, that you sink into, I always turn around and walk out.
Why?
Because I realize that half my money goes to that.
No, that's not true.
No, listen. Listen. And no,
So
no.
think about it. Think about it. Would you want to go to an attorney's office with papers and stuff stacked all over the floor on the wall?
Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. No, no.
It's dusty.
No.
Or would you want to go into a business that's presentable and it looks good? Just because it looks good doesn't mean it has to be expensive.
Diane, I know what a Brooks Brothers suit costs, my brother.
I don't know what they cost.
So I know what they cost.
I have no clue.
I do. And so now
How much they cost?
They cost a lot of money.
Well, what's a lot of money, Eric?
You could be paying $600-$700 for a Brooks Brothers suit.
First of all, that's not a lot of money for a suit.
Well, it's a lot of money for a suit.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is for somebody who wears baseball caps and sweatsuits every day. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, for them.
Now you can pay more. You can pay more, for sure. But you can pay $600-$700, right? You could pay $1,500. You could go further down the rack, and you'll find $2,500, $2,700 suits.
So
I'm saying if you're paying over $2,700-$2,800, I got a tailor for you who could custom make your suits.
Well, then that's good. That's even better, but custom made is not inexpensive either.
No, you could get
when you pay for detail. Look, people want to spend the money they're going to spend to look the way they want to look. If you want to buy a Brooks Brothers suit for whatever the cost is, because I don't know the cost. I've actually never been in a store, probably just past the window. Or if you want to buy a suit from K&G, or if you want to buy a Steve Harvey suit, that's fine.
I'm not buying a Steve Harvey suit.
Oh, shit. It's not more Steve Harvey suits. Now, I will tell you, there are some attorneys, and I can only say this because I have said this to him personally, that there's an attorney downtown North who he's a high-profile attorney, does attorney work for high-profile celebrities as well as for government, and he likes to wear them tailored, slim suits to flex his muscles and stuff. And I always tell him, I'm going to need you in looser pants. But see,
oh, wait a minute. Stop, Diane. You know what? And I'm petty like this.
What?
I'm about to be real petty. I'm about to be real petty. Listen, for my black men, that European cut suit is not for you.
If you have big booty and big thighs.
Yes! Diane, you know exactly, and you guys who are wearing them, you know who I'm talking about. It's not for you. Somebody got to pull your coattail and tell you it's not a good look. Diane, you know, Diane. I'm sorry. It's not.
Oh my God.
Diane. But you know what
I know. I'm telling you, if you are in or you see your younger political people, and they're a prime example because you see a lot of them in government and you down City Hall and stuff, let me tell you, them suits is too tight.
Diane, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I need them to cut it out too.
And then they Diane.
I don't even know how they pull them pants up I don't know how they get past the ankle because the ankles are so tapered. I get their
Diane.
big foot through those little tapered ankles.
Know thyself, and thyself doesn't belong in that suit. Diane, I want to tell some of those cats, like, yo, take it off so you can breathe. Like, Diane, some of them can't even breathe. They got to hold their breath all day.
Look, somebody said, and I can never pronounce his name. Jizenka. Can you phonetically put your name in there so I can get it right, so I can say your name? He says, put some socks on.
Oh. Diane, it's all horrible.
Can you please put some socks on? Stop wearing them suits with them alligator shoes and those socks.
Because you know the feet stink.
His feet is sweaty and sticky.
Oh, Diane, but I want you to envision, like the suits, and they got, like you said, they have the, the big derriere, right? And then so the suit jacket doesn't even hang down. It goes.
Wait,
It goes.
no. Baby got back. I heard that video, that song this morning coming in by oh gosh, what is his name? Baby got back. Oh man, what is it? Somebody tell me. I just heard it this morning. It was so funny, but it reminds me of that.
So listen, take that suit off. So
yeah.
Take those suits off. I just had to say that. I had to be petty about that.
let that phase out of the fashion scene for men, please. I can't take it no more. Oh wait a minute, you know what I hate worse than that? The same attorney I'm talking about, he buys them and they're tapered and they're checkered. So they have a checkered pattern and it drives me crazy. I just be like, did your sir mix a lot? Yes, thank you, Alan. I'm like, did your wife see you this morning when you came outside? She let you outside with the plaid pants on and tight plaid pants. So yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what else gets me? Look. I was at an event, and there was this guy. I don't know if he listens to the show or not, but anyway, he looked like he was going, and it was an evening event in New York, right? And so it was black tie. So I was dressed appropriately, and Amina was dressed beautifully, right? And this guy walks in, Diane, and he's got like one of those hats that you would wear at a polo match. Right? And he's got the boots on, the rustic boots that come up to the knee, right? Like and he's got the knickers. He's got the
like
knickers. Yeah, and he's got the knickers tucked in, right? And he's got the vest on, the whole bit. And it was completely out of place in terms of how he was dressed. The only thing. And he may have even had the whatever you call the thing you hold, right? Like, so the polo riders, they hold the thing that they hit the horses with or whatever, right? But so, and he walks in and he's peacocking the entire evening.
So what is peacocking?
What is peacocking? Oh, come on. You guys got to know, right? See, Amina says...
I know, but I just want to hear you.
Yeah, because Amina calls me Mr. Eric with the hard bottom shoes because I'm old. Right? So peacocking is when you just kind of strut around, right? And you want everybody to see you. So this event is going on, Diane, and you know, people are mingling and we're all having a good time. And this guy, he just has to be seen, right? So it wasn't enough that he had this outfit on that was good. Diane, and so now he's peacocking, and he's like literally like almost strutting like a peacock, feathers out, chest out, you know.
And you're annoyed. You like what you?
I'm annoyed, Diane. I just wanted to trip him. I did. I could be petty, guys. I could be real petty. And then
Alan Patterson wants to know: do you remember the store Heaven on Earth on Broad Street?
I got a story about
the owner.
Who was the owner?
Who's the owner? Alan Patterson.
What about the owner? I used to shop there.
You did?
I did. I bought a blazer. I bought quite a few things from there, but I bought this blazer. And Alan, I used to peacock in this particular blazer because, what was I? I was 19 or 20. So if you're 19 or 20 and you're shopping at Heaven on Earth, you're doing it, right? So I was doing it back then. And I had this particular blazer, Diane, that I would wear. And when I wore it, I felt something special. So I do remember that store. It was a fantastic store.
Wow.
Fantastic store.
So what happened to the store? What happened to these great black clothing stores that were downtown Newark that had quality clothing? What happened? Did the owners die and the family just not want to take it over? Like, what do you think happened? Because those
competition,
are like
Diane. I think
they used to have a great hat store on Springfield Avenue, but she closed as well. I'm like, those are the type of things. He said he can't remember his name. He was a brother.
There's a great hat store on Halsey Street, and there's a great scarf store on Halsey Street that I get scarves for Christmas for very special people. But what has happened? There are a couple of things that have happened, Diane. One is competition.
What'd you say?
Competition, right? So the ability to travel 5-10 miles outside of Newark, and to have other other stores that you can go and purchase things for. Pricing is one, quality is another one. So there's different kinds of things, right? So you got to innovate.
Do you also think that the era of black men and women do not dress as they did before? They don't consider suit and ties and dresses the thing to do. When in the 50s and 60s, it was always grand to come out and be dressed when you go to work, or dressed up to go to church or to events. Now it seems like we have moved towards more of the casual wear and stuff like that. Do you think that has a reasoning with the young people as to why they don't see a reason for dressing as they did before?
Well, I post occasionally on Thursdays, Throwback Thursdays pictures, and if you look, you'll see from me being a young 3-year-old up to probably 6 or 7 or so, you'll see I have bow ties on. And my mother said that she always dressed me in bow ties and suspenders. And she said that the people used to call me Little Lord Fauntleroy. But she believed that, right? So it was slacks, bow ties, suspenders, and shoes. I think that, we've just kind of relaxed. And
I know, as my daughter was a child,
like my grandfather, my
everything.
grandfather never wore. I cannot remember. I can't remember ever a time with my grandfather not having a collared shirt.
Nope, my grandfather either.
You understand? So he wore short sleeve shirts, but they always had a collar. Now he would walk around the house with with a wife beater on sometimes. That's in the house. But when he stepped outside, always had a collared shirt on. Always.
It's not a wife beater; it's a t-shirt. Stop calling it that.
Why do they call them wife beaters?
Because people are ignorant and they give names to stuff, and then it just travels. Like, why do they call it Brick City? Stupid.
No, there was a name. Can somebody figure that out for me? And I don't know.
Because they said a lot of people that were beating their wives every time they got arrested, they was wearing a damn wife beater. But it's stupid.
Is that why they call it that? Oh, you know what? Then I need to because there's another. I guess that's a derogatory term then, right? So I'll stop it.
It's stupid. But not only that, we pick up these slangs and stuff, and it continues. So stop. It's a t-shirt. Undershirt. He walked around.
But it's it's a different kind of undershirt though.
It's a sleeveless undershirt.
Sleeveless undershirt?
Or a tank top undershirt, whatever.
Tank top. Okay. So I'll call it
undergarment, so it's a undershirt.
All right. Now, you know what? I don't wear undershirts. And I ruin my shirts because I don't wear undershirts. Because you don't
wear shirts either. You wear hoodies.
No, I wear shirts.
You don't wear undershirt under your shirt?
No, under my dress shirts? No, I don't.
Who raised you? Who raised you? What is wrong with you? I'm calling your mama.
I feel claustrophobic.
You always had an undershirt on underneath your clothes.
And I ruin my shirts as a result because the deodorant has ammonia in it or whatever, right? And it just creates an issue. Call or go.
Hey, really quick, Diane, right about the wife beater. It came from the TV show Cops. Whenever they were locking people up, they had the white.
Yep.
All right.
Yep,
that's where it came from.
All right, I'll never use it again. Thank you. Call or go.
Hey, I don't know if somebody answered you, but as I always understood it, it was because it was taken from like the old movies, particularly like gangster movies, where they always said that whenever you saw a guy beating his wife, he had on an A T-shirt, and that's what it is.
All right, then I'm done.
A-line T-shirt, and that was the reason why, because they say like in all the movies or wherever you saw a guy beating a woman, that's the T-shirt he had on.
He had that. Look, that time he had that on, and he had boxers on too. He was a Fruit of the Loom's boxer man.
Probably so. But when you look at old movies, like that's just really what they had on. So that's what they call it.
Let me tell you, my daddy used to wear what did he wear? Fruit of the Loom boxers, and he used to buy them. He was a simple guy. My mother would always have suits and stuff. My father passed away. He still had suits and ties with the tags on them because he didn't never want to wear them. But he would wear boxers, and they would have the Fruit of the Loom boxers. He would get them from Pathmark at that time because, you have them like 6 or 3 in a pack. And instead of getting just he went from a phase of getting just the solid colors onto the colors, to the ones that had the little designs and the checkers on them, onto the ones that had from the snaps in the front, to the ones that had the buttons in the front. Were you a Fruit of the Loom guy, Eric?
So I was a.
No, let me tell you, those are good memories. I
was a Fruit of the Loom guy, not a boxer guy.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I was in school, the kids at that age, they were boxer guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was a tighty whitey guy, and I used to get picked on.
Wait a minute.
I used to get picked on.
Yours always loose because you ain't had no booty to fill them out.
I used to get picked on for being a tighty whitey guy, but I was a tighty whitey guy, and but you brought back memories, Diana, the Pathmark, and being able to go and get your underwear there. You used to also be able to get sneakers there. If you remember, they used to have a rack in the middle of the Pathmark, and my dad, because my dad was a very frugal guy. And, this is when, I guess, Pro-Keds and Converse were like the sneakers to buy, right? My father refused to buy me Pro-Keds and refused to buy me the Chuck Taylors. So I would get my sneakers from the little rack at the Pathmark. And my friends would be shopping, and this is when you had real community, right? So my friends and their parents would be shopping, the teachers from the community would be in there shopping, and there I was trying on my shoes. And if you remember, Diane, they had the thing that connected the two sneakers together. So when my father would say, walk in them to see if they fit.
Tell me how to feel. Turn around and come back.
You understand? And so like my friends would be laughing at me. They'd laugh, Diane, because what they call them, jeepers, right? That was the term back then. Oh my God. And I'd be in the aisle crying, like seriously, like tears coming down my eyes. And my father would say to me, he said, son, this builds character. It builds.
That's right. That's right. So, and he was right, because he was buying your sneakers there. My daddy was getting my stockings from Pathmark. I would be so excited when my father came home, all the way up into high school. So when he advanced from moving to buying just the colored stockings, the various colors for me, then they started making the ones with the patterns, and he would bring those home for me too.
Diane, you bring back such memories.
Rocking in high school.
Oh, this is funny. This is so funny. And then what I used to do? And this is where my artistic skills came in, because my friends would make fun of me because they said I got jeepers on and he wearing tighty whities, and I would take a Sharpie or a marker and I would draw the star in the back of the. So I tried to get the sneakers that looked the most like the Converses, and I would draw the star.
Let me tell you, that was good times.
Those were great times. Oh my God.
I missed it. I can still remember my dad, because he worked nights, and during the day when I come home from school, when I didn't even come from school, before when I was in preschool, I remember playing at home with my Barbie while he slept, because he worked nights, and then he would get up, take a shower, get out, have his those Fruit of the Loom boxers on, smelling like Ivy Spring soap, come into the room, spray down with some of that Oh God, what was it with the brown top on? Old English.
Oh,
Spray up
yeah.
some Old English, and I would sit in the door and watch them get dressed. We would go downstairs, and this would be in the middle of the day, like 11:30, 12ish.
Wait, Diane. Let me correct you though. But Old English is the malt liquor. You're talking about English leather, Diane.
Oh, leather. Whichever.
Yo,
Well,
listen, no, because if your pop was spraying down with OE, there's an issue.
Problem,
yeah,
right?
he got a problem.
So, leather, that was the name of it?
English leather.
Oh, English leather. Okay,
English
so he
leather.
sprayed English leather. We go downstairs, get in his car. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but I remember it had a hole in the floor in the back seat. I would always fill my pockets with rocks, so I could sit on the floor and drop the rocks out the hole as we drove around to Care Avenue to pick up his friend Mr. Green, who drove a little punch car, and they would drive me to the store, get me a box of those animal crackers and one of those little juicies, take me to Weekway Park, and they sat and talked while I played on the swings.
Wow.
Good times. And look, and then take me back to daycare, because I went to the daycare, Weekway daycare, right there on Chancellor Avenue, right on Chancellor where the 78 is, where that daycare is now, and I would go to daycare.
Well, listen,
good times. That was good life.
These are all good times. And quick thing about the animal cracker. Have you noticed the box on the animal crackers changed? Remember when we were kids, you had the animals that were in the cages? Now they don't have them in the cages anymore. They're politically correct.
Exactly.
So listen, guys. Breaking news. The president declared a national emergency, a national state of emergency to try to help speed this stuff up. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you guys posted. Stay in the house, except if you're going to Fox's to get yourself a dinner. So make sure you wear a mask.
Wear a mask and wash your nasty hands with soap and water.
And Diane, take your shoes off in your house.
I will.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend. See you on Monday.
Share the show. Share the show.